Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted your entire life has been secretly destroying you piece by piece? My cousin Jennifer was the golden child of our family. She had perfect grades, perfect boyfriend, perfect everything. Meanwhile, I was always the disappointment, the one who couldn't get anything right. For 15 years, I believed I was just unlucky, that I was the problem. But then I found a folder hidden in Jennifer's bedroom that changed everything. Inside were detailed notes about my life, my relationships, my business plans, and a step-by-step strategy for sabotaging every single opportunity I'd ever had. What I discovered next about her charity work and our family's money made my blood run cold. By the time I was done reading, I realized I wasn't dealing with a cousin, I was dealing with a sociopath. And at our grandmother's 90th birthday party, with 50 family members watching, I made sure everyone finally saw who Jennifer really was. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let me know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Maya, and for 28 years, I lived in the shadow of what everyone called perfection. Jennifer wasn't just my cousin, she was 2 years older and everything I wasn't. While I struggled with dyslexia, Jennifer brought home straight A's. While I was awkward at family gatherings, she charmed every relative with her latest achievements. Art was the one thing that came naturally to me, but Jennifer excelled at everything society actually valued. Every family dinner became a Jennifer appreciation session. Jennifer made varsity as a freshman. Her teacher says she's the most mature student ever. And there I'd sit, waiting for someone to ask about my paintings or stories that actually moved people. But living in someone's shadow makes you notice things others don't see. Little things that made me question whether I was paranoid or if something was off about perfect Jennifer. The first incident happened when I was 12. I'd won a local art competition with a landscape painting of grandmother's garden. For once, I was getting congratulated at Sunday dinner. The prize was a spot in regionals with a scholarship opportunity. I was working on my entry piece in grandmother's sunroom, a complex watercolor portrait I'd spent 2 weeks perfecting. Jennifer came over that afternoon, seeming genuinely impressed. "This is beautiful, Maya. Can I get you lemonade? You've been working so hard." I was touched by her rare attention to my art. But while telling me about her soccer game, her elbow knocked over her full glass of red fruit punch directly onto my nearly completed masterpiece. The liquid spread across the delicate paper like blood, dissolving weeks of careful work into irreparable mess. I stared in shock. My chance at the scholarship, my moment to shine, ruined in seconds. "Oh my God, Maya, I'm so sorry," Jennifer exclaimed, looking horrified. "Complete accident. I'm so clumsy." But as I started sobbing, I caught something in her expression, a tiny flash that looked almost like satisfaction before concern took over. If I hadn't been staring right at her, I would have missed it. By the time our parents rushed in, Jennifer had positioned herself as equally devastated, crying about her terrible accident. Instead of comforting me, the actual victim, everyone focused on Jennifer. "Don't feel bad, honey. Accidents happen." Meanwhile, I was told to stop being dramatic. Jennifer spent the next 2 days helping me create a replacement, offering suggestions that somehow made everything worse. I didn't place in regionals, and at dinner, Jennifer answered for me. Poor Maya didn't do well, but art's just a hobby anyway. That night, I wrote in my diary about how confused I felt. Why did her elbow hit the glass with such force? Why did she recover so quickly? But everyone said I was being dramatic, so I convinced myself I was being unfair. This became my pattern for 15 years. Jennifer would do something that seemed calculated to hurt me. I'd notice something off, but then I'd gaslight myself into believing I was paranoid. High school brought higher stakes. Jennifer had a sixth sense for my vulnerable moments. The week I planned to audition for the school play, she mentioned to my parents her worry about my confidence issues and whether rejection would be too much for my sensitive personality. They talked me out of it for my own good. Senior year, I got a boyfriend, David from art class, who appreciated my creativity. For 3 months, someone finally saw me as special. Jennifer became very interested in my relationship, always asking about David, wanting to meet him, insisting on group hangouts. She befriended David faster than she'd befriended me, texting him memes, remembering his interests, offering class advice. I was happy they got along, my two worlds were coming together. But David started changing. He'd make comments about my moodiness using Jennifer's exact language. He began questioning whether we were compatible, saying he'd talked to people who knew me well and they'd helped him see we weren't right together. The breakup came before prom. David explained I was too intense and emotionally unstable for a serious relationship. Jennifer was right there to comfort me, holding me while I cried, bringing ice cream, assuring me David didn't deserve me. At 18, heartbroken and heading to college, I accepted that maybe I really was too much for people to handle. College was my fresh start. I thrived in art school, made genuine friends, dated successfully. I was becoming who I'd always known I could be away from family comparisons. But every holiday home, the dynamics reasserted themselves. Jennifer's achievements dominated conversations, her engagement, job offers, perfect apartment. My accomplishments got brief acknowledgement before someone changed subjects back to Jennifer's successes. The pattern was so subtle I believed it was natural. Jennifer was just more successful, more worthy of attention. I was the artistic one, the sensitive one who needed patience. That's how our family worked. Graduation day arrived. I was graduating with honors in fine arts, genuinely excited to share this with my family. The party was supposed to be about me, but Jennifer announced her engagement that same day. My diploma sat forgotten on the kitchen counter while everyone rushed to congratulate her. As I watched my achievement become a footnote to Jennifer's news, I felt that familiar ache of being overlooked. But this time was different. A tiny voice whispered this wasn't a coincidence. It would be 6 more years before I'd trust that voice enough to act on it. 6 years before I'd discover that none of this had been natural at all. That every single thing I'd attributed to Jennifer's superiority and my shortcomings had been carefully orchestrated by someone who couldn't bear to let anyone else shine. But that revelation was still years away. For now, I was 22, watching my family celebrate my cousin's engagement on what should have been my day, with no idea that Jennifer had already planned this moment to steal my thunder. The seed of suspicion had been planted, and Jennifer had no idea her perfect facade was about to crumble. 6 years after college, I decided to start my own graphic design business. I'd been working dead-end jobs, but my art had finally found a commercial application. I was good at this, creating logos, branding packages, marketing materials. For the first time in my adult life, I felt like I had a real shot at success. I started small, taking freelance projects, building a portfolio. Word spread through my network, and within months, I had steady clients and growing revenue. I was finally proving that my artistic talents could translate into financial independence. Jennifer seemed genuinely supportive, asking detailed questions about my business strategy, my clients, my future plans. I was so grateful for her interest that I shared everything, my pricing structure, my client acquisition methods, even my biggest prospects. That's when things started going wrong. My first major client, a local restaurant chain, suddenly canceled their rebrand project after our initial meeting. They'd seemed excited about my concepts, but their owner called saying they decided to go in a different direction. When I pressed for feedback, he became uncomfortable and mentioned something about concerning references from people who knew my work. I was confused but pushed forward. Then it happened again. A boutique hotel that had been eager to hire me for their grand reopening materials abruptly backed out. This time, the manager was more direct. Someone called us about your reliability issues. They said you'd had problems completing projects on time and had some personal struggles that affected your work quality. I was devastated. These were complete lies. I'd never missed a deadline or had personal issues affect my work. But who would make such calls? And how did they even know about these potential clients? The pattern continued for months. Every promising opportunity would slip away after what seemed like successful initial meetings. I started asking clients directly what they'd heard. The stories were always similar. Someone had called claiming to be a concerned friend or former client, warning about my instability, my unprofessional behavior, or my history of not following through. The descriptions all sounded like they came from someone who knew me personally. References to my being sensitive, mentions of family concerns about my emotional state, warnings about my pattern of disappointing people. It was my own insecurities weaponized against me. I began to suspect Jennifer, but it seemed impossible. Why would she sabotage me? And how was she even finding out about my clients? I hadn't told her about half of these opportunities. Then I discovered how. My grandmother had asked Jennifer to help her set up social media accounts to stay connected with the family. Jennifer was managing all her online activities, which meant she had access to everything I posted, including the excited updates about potential clients and business developments that I shared, thinking I was just keeping family informed. I confronted Jennifer during a family barbecue. I think someone's been calling my clients and spreading lies about me. Have you heard anything about that? Her response was a masterclass in manipulation. First, she looked genuinely shocked and hurt. Maya, that's terrible. Who would do such a thing? Then concern, are you sure it's not just competitive businesses trying to undercut you? The design world can be really cutthroat. When I pressed further, suggesting that someone with inside knowledge was involved, she shifted to gentle gaslighting. Honey, I know you've been under a lot of stress with the business. Sometimes when we're anxious, we can start seeing patterns that aren't really there. Remember how you used to think people were against you in high school? By the end of the conversation, she had me wondering if I was losing my mind. She even offered to help me figure out who might be targeting me, suggesting we could investigate together. But I wasn't the same naive girl from high school anymore. I started documenting everything. Every cancelled client, every strange excuse, every timeline that seemed too coincidental. I created fake social media posts about fictional clients and opportunities, watching to see if these imaginary prospects would mysteriously face issues too. Sure enough, my fake graphic design client for a made-up wellness center got a warning call about my reputation in the community. That's when I knew for certain. My business completely collapsed within 18 months. No matter how good my work was, Jennifer's systematic character assassination had destroyed my reputation before I could establish myself. I was forced to move back home at 28, financially ruined and emotionally shattered. The family's reaction was predictable. Maybe entrepreneurship just isn't for everyone. At least you tried. Jennifer was right to worry about you taking on too much stress. Jennifer, meanwhile, had started heavily promoting her charity work on social media. Photos of her at soup kitchens, posts about fundraising events, glowing testimonials about her community involvement. The family ate it up. While I was the cautionary tale about unrealistic dreams, Jennifer was the shining example of success with a heart. Living back in my childhood bedroom, working a humiliating temp job that Jennifer had helped me get, I felt lower than I'd ever been. But I also felt something new, cold, calculating anger. I started researching Jennifer's claimed volunteer work. The soup kitchen photos? All taken on the same day, a one-time publicity event. The fundraising galas? She'd attended as a guest, not an organizer. The community service awards? Completely fabricated. Then I found the Family Foundation. Grandmother had established it years ago to help family members through financial hardships, specifically intended to support ventures like my failed business. Jennifer had been named administrator, supposedly to handle the paperwork and make sure funds went to worthy causes. I'd never even known it existed. Digging deeper, I discovered Jennifer had been embezzling from this foundation for 2 years. Money that was meant to help struggling family members, money that could have saved my business, had been going directly into her personal accounts. She'd stolen over $47,000 while watching me lose everything. That night, staring at the bank statements I'd managed to access, I realized I wasn't dealing with a jealous cousin anymore. I was dealing with someone who had spent 15 years systematically destroying my life while positioning herself as the family saint. The anger I felt wasn't hot and explosive, it was ice-cold and precise. Jennifer had made one crucial mistake: she'd gotten comfortable. She thought I'd never fight back, never question the narrative she'd built. She was about to learn how wrong she was. Grandmother's 90th birthday party was 3 months away. I started planning. 3 months of preparation led to this moment. I'd compiled everything: bank statements, phone records, screenshots, witness testimonies. David, my ex-boyfriend, had even agreed to help after I reached out. Turns out, Jennifer had tried to date him right after our breakup, and her constant bad-mouthing of me had made him uncomfortable. He'd kept her messages all these years. The morning of grandmother's 90th birthday party, I watched Jennifer flutter around like the perfect hostess. She'd organized everything, invited 50 family members, ordered flowers, coordinated catering. She gave a beautiful speech about family love and supporting each other through difficult times. Everyone applauded her selflessness. And now she announced with a bright smile, Maya has prepared a special slideshow of family memories for grandmother. I stood up, USB drive in hand, heart pounding with anticipation rather than fear. Thank you, Jennifer. I've put together something really special. I think it's going to surprise everyone. The first few slides were normal, childhood photos, family vacations, holiday gatherings. Everyone smiled nostalgically. Then the presentation shifted. But sometimes I said, advancing to the next slide, the most important family stories are the ones happening behind the scenes. The screen displayed the real Jennifer, a 15-year timeline. The room fell silent. I started with the art competition. When I was 12, my painting was mysteriously ruined right before a scholarship competition. I always thought it was an accident. Click. But looking back with adult eyes, I started noticing patterns. The next slide showed Jennifer's systematic sabotage. Dates of my failed business meetings matched with her social media activity, screenshots of her fake accounts used to spy on me, recordings of her voice pretending to be former employers. The room erupted in whispers. Jennifer accessed grandmother's social media to monitor my posts about business opportunities. I continued calmly. She then called my potential clients, posing as a concerned friend, warning them about my supposed instability. Jennifer shot to her feet. This is ridiculous. Maya's having another breakdown. She's always been paranoid about the family foundation. I interrupted, clicking to bank statements. The one grandmother established to help family members in financial crisis? The one you've been stealing from for 2 years while I lost my business. The numbers were undeniable, $47,000 diverted from the foundation into Jennifer's personal accounts. Grandmother's face went white. The room exploded into chaos. Maya, you're sick, Jennifer screamed. You fabricated all of this because you can't handle that I'm successful and you're not. But I'd planned for this reaction. David, would you like to share what Jennifer told you about me? David stood up, visibly nervous but determined. After Maya and I broke up, Jennifer pursued me. She said Maya was mentally unstable, that she'd always been the family problem child, that dating her had been a mistake. When I wasn't interested, she got intense. I kept her messages because they made me uncomfortable. I played audio recordings of Jennifer's voicemails to my former clients. Her voice, clear as day, warning about my reputation and personal issues. Several relatives gasped, recognizing her distinctive tone. The charity work you all praise her for. I clicked to the next slide. These soup kitchen photos were all taken in one afternoon for her social media. The fundraising events? She attended as a guest, not an organizer. I contacted every organization she claims to volunteer with. None of them have her on record as a regular volunteer. Jennifer's husband stood up, his face pale. Jennifer, is this true? The foundation money, did you really? For the first time in my life, I watched Jennifer's perfect facade completely crumble. Cornered, caught in undeniable lies, she finally revealed her true self. You want to know the truth, she snarled, all pretense of sweetness gone. Fine. Yes, I sabotaged your pathetic little business. Yes, I made sure David dumped you. Yes, I've spent years making sure you never succeeded at anything. The room fell dead silent. You think you deserved grandmother's attention just because you could draw some pretty pictures? You were always her favorite, and I was sick of pretending that was okay. I worked harder than you at everything, grades, sports, being the perfect granddaughter, but she still lit up more when you showed her your stupid art. Grandmother's eyes filled with tears. Jennifer, how could you? Don't act innocent. Jennifer snapped at her. You always favored Maya. Well, guess what? I made sure she never lived up to your precious expectations. Every time she was about to succeed, I pulled the rug out. And the foundation money? I earned it. I'm the one who's been successful, who's made something of herself. Maya's just a failed artist living in her childhood bedroom. The silence that followed was deafening. Then my uncle, a lawyer, quietly said, Jennifer, you just confessed to embezzlement in front of 50 witnesses. The rest happened quickly. Jennifer's husband asked her to leave. Grandmother called her lawyer about the foundation theft. Family members who'd enabled years of mistreatment approached me with tearful apologies. But the most satisfying moment came when Jennifer, realizing what she'd done, tried to backtrack. I didn't mean any of that. I was just upset. Maya, you know I love you, I said firmly. For the first time in my life, you told the truth. And now everyone knows who you really are. Within 6 months, Jennifer faced criminal charges for embezzlement and had to pay full restitution plus damages. Her marriage ended. Her reputation in our hometown was destroyed, ironic, considering what she'd done to mine. I moved to a new city and relaunched my business. This time, with genuine family support and no sabotage, it thrived. I even landed some of those original clients who called to apologize after learning the truth. The best part? I sleep peacefully now, knowing I don't have to look over my shoulder or wonder if I'm imagining things. Sometimes the people closest to us are the ones doing the most damage. But documentation, patience, and strategic timing can reveal even the most carefully hidden truth. Jennifer taught me an important lesson: never underestimate someone you've underestimated for too long. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible revenge stories. Let me know in the comments if you've ever dealt with a manipulative family member. I'd love to hear how you handled it. Until next time, remember that the truth always finds a way to surface.